Hello folks, and welcome to the ultimate BMW R1300GS buying guide. In this video, I'm going to do a deep dive on every single feature, option and package available for this motorcycle, and also I'll break it down with every single terminology and abbreviation available because they can get a little bit confusing. So you know exactly what you're buying, what's the best value for money, and what are my personal recommendations based on my own experience owning this bike for quite a while now. Stick around and we'll figure out everything that's included on this bike and what will be the best options for you. Okay, so let's get stuck into it. We have a lot of pages, but first let's talk about what comes standard with the bike with every single color or style, and we'll talk about that later. But basically you get your TFT standard with every bike. Love it or hate it, your LED matrix light is also included as standard. Riding modes, you get road, enduro, eco, and rain. Obviously you switch them using your mode button. You get tire pressure monitoring. So if we go to my vehicle, for example, you get the tire pressure monitor front and back. Also standard, you get heated grips. In this case, you got 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3, which is fantastic because on previous models you only had 1 and 2, where 1 was warm and 2 was absolutely lava. So every single bike also comes included with keyless ride, so you have no key. You turn on your bike and off with this button, and you also lock the handlebars with that. Dynamic cruise control is also included. You turn it on, set your speed, and you're good to go. Now, don't confuse this with active cruise control, which is included with the Radar package. This will only be a static cruise control. So you set it to 100 kilometers an hour and it'll keep that speed. It doesn't matter what you have in front of you or whatever. They call it dynamic because if you are on a downhill, the bike will apply the brakes to keep your speed. And also, depending on your steering input, the cruise control will or might reduce the speed depending on the corner and the angle, and then speed up back again to your set speed. Also, as standard, you get your phone compartment where, well, you can actually keep your keys as well, I suppose, but it does have a USB port and it comes with the rubber gasket, so it will be waterproof and it will keep your phone nice and dry. You also get hill start control, or HSC, which basically works almost like a handbrake, right? When you're on a hill or something like that and you press the brake, you press hard on the front brake, you'll see a green H popping up, which basically means that the brakes are engaged. So you can release, you can let them go, and the bike will hold it for you there, no problem at all. It will only release when you press the brakes again or when you start going on first gear. It will take a little bit of effort to get it going, so you have to give it a little bit more throttle that you think to get the bike to release and get going. It used to be even worse on previous bikes where you have to really put a lot of revs to get the bike going. Now it's not as bad, but still something to have in mind. Hand protectors come included as standard, and as standard also it will have the blinkers over here. Because I do have the Enduro package, it moves the stock blinkers back to the front. Within the standard equipment, we have to talk about the safety aspect of it. Everything is tied into the inertial measurement unit. That's a tongue twister for me. Basically the IMU, which is the gyroscope internal to the bike. It's a 6-axis gyroscope, so basically it will measure up and down, left, right, front and back. With that, it knows exactly the position of the bike, what it's doing. Also, it has an accelerometer, so it knows the G-forces, going front and back as well. So it can measure acceleration and the position of the bike. The IMU is tied to the different other controls that come standard with this bike as well. Also, as standard, you get dynamic traction control, or DTC, which basically measures the wheel spin on the rear wheel, right? It will measure the difference between the speed of the front wheel to the back, and if it detects wheel spin, it will obviously cut the power. Also, you have ABS Pro. Obviously, the ABS Pro works in conjunction with the IMU. It has cornering ABS, so if you're leaning and pressing on the brakes and everything, the brakes will modulate automatically front and back to make sure that the bike doesn't, pull forward, because when you're on a corner and you brake, the bike will tend to lift up. So the corner ABS will slow the bike down, but it will also allow you to continue to lean the bike. So that's a very nice safety feature. Also, you have to know that in BMW, and they have this for ages now, since probably 2008 or something like that, from the air-cooled bikes, is that the brakes are linked. So when you press the front brake, the bike will automatically apply the rear brakes, depending on the speed and everything, just to make sure that the bike is level and you can brake safely as well. The next one, and this is one that I didn't know about, so it's nice to know that it's there. This is a dynamic brake control, or DBC. So basically what it does is, if you're accelerating and you're trying to grab the brakes, obviously that will be a panic situation. So the bike knows that you're actually trying to brake, although you're holding the throttle open. So the computer will actually cut the power to the throttle and reduce the engine power. These bikes can do that because the throttle is actually throttled by wire. So basically it's an electronic signal. There's no actual cable going to the throttle. It's just a signal, right? So it has a little motor underneath in the throttle, which opens and closes the valves depending on the electronic signal that the throttle will send from the top. The next one is engine drag torque control, or MSR. Again, another one that I know what it does, but I didn't know existed as a module. And it basically prevents the rear wheel from locking, right? That happens when you have a lot of engine braking, for example. So if you're riding and you're going fast and you release the throttle too quickly, the engine braking could be a lot, compared to the traction. So it's basically braking the wheel, right? That system will cut torque to the wheels to prevent that. The other situation with this system will come into play is when you're using the quick shifter. When you downshift, basically will blip the throttle, so you don't get into that situation where the rear wheel might lock due to engine braking as well. Okay, so far we discussed about all the standard features that come included on every single bike, regardless of what you choose for options or packages. So now let's talk about the different colors and styles. There's 3 colors included, and these are the 2026 options. Year to year, or every now and then, these options might change. So for example, now if you order a bike now, and you'll probably get a 2026 bike, you'll have Aurelius Green, Light White, and Racing Red. Those 3 options are absolutely free. You have no extra charge for it, but the bike will come completely bond stock with the standard features that I just discussed. There's a few things that come with those colors, that for example the engine will come on the standard gray color and not the wrinkled black that come on the different options. Besides the 3 different colors, you also have 3 different styles. You have GS Trophy, like I have here, Triple Black, and the 719 option. These 3 different packages, they are not just a color scheme or a paint job, they come with different options included. So for example, the GS Trophy will be the more off-road oriented bike, where it will come with spoke wheels. It will not come with anything for the pillions, right? So it's the standard frame. It does come with a comfort seat, and that's about it. If you go for the Triple Black, for example, the Triple Black is the more road-oriented bike, and that will come with comfort seats, electric windscreen, the Pillion Package, and center stand, right? The Pillion Package will come again with rear foot pegs, the rear seat, comfort, and also the rails so you can grab on. The 719 option, it's a premium package that comes on a special paint scheme. For this year, or 2026, it's a blue option, where before it used to be a green one. It comes with everything included on the Triple Black package, and also a lot of billet aluminum accessories all around the bike. Now, another big decision to make is if you want your bike to be the standard clutch manual gearbox, or if you want the ASA model, which is the automatic shift assist. One thing to note though, which I didn't know about it, is that yes, on the ASA model, there's no clutch, no lever whatsoever, but it still has a shifter. So if you put your bike on manual mode, you can actually go through the gears up and down like any other regular bike, which is interesting. I didn't know about that. I thought it was just like a scooter, right? You can put it in auto and there was nothing else. Or even like the Africa Twins in the past that I've driven, where you do have only 2 buttons on the steering wheel and you change your gears there. But no, having the shifter is fantastic actually, and it's super smooth. Now, let's talk about packages, right? So you have 5 different packages to choose from, and some are not very clear what they include. So you have your Comfort Package, Dynamic Package, Innovation Package, Touring Package, and Enduro Package. There are some that are great value for money, and I will definitely recommend going for them. And others, it depends on if you want the big ticket items within each package. So in some cases, if you want one of the options, it's worth getting the package completely instead of just picking up the individual option. There are some options that are not available outside packages, so that's something to watch for. Let's break down some of the packages available. First one is the Comfort Package. That will cost you 880 euros. It will include the Pillion Package inside it, so it's a package within the package. The Pillion Package will include the comfort seats, front and rear, so for rider and pillion. It will include the rear foot pegs for the pillion as well, the luggage carrier, an option to get the heated seats with the comfort seats with an additional 180 euros. Also included on the Comfort Package is the electric windscreen and the center stand. So, like I mentioned before, if you want the electric windscreen and the center stand, the electric windscreen will cost you 350 euros and the center stand 200. So that's already 550. So for 30 euros more, you get the Pillion Package. Again, if you choose the triple black or the 719, and if you don't want the electric windscreen, you might as well don't get the Comfort Package. The electric windscreen is actually pretty cool. With the press of the button, it's basically infinite adjustments. The screen will go up and down. It goes really high and actually does a pretty good job at blocking the wind and everything, right? This is the quietest ride that I had on a GS, even on previous ones that had the extended aftermarket windscreen. So this is a really good option. The next one is the Dynamic Package, and this is one of the big ones and one that I will definitely recommend that you actually get. It is a little bit expensive, but it has all the main features that actually makes the GS a GS, or it gives it that premium feeling on the bike, right? The Dynamic Package comes with the Gear Assist Pro, which is basically quick shifter up and down. It's pretty good. DSA, or Dynamic Suspension Adjustment, that will give your dynamic road or enduro modes for the suspension, where it changes. Within each mode, you can set it up to be 0 or +1 or +2, or 0 and -1 and -2. So within each mode, dynamic, road and enduro, you can tweak things up the way you want it. So the DSA is definitely worth getting. It also includes Riding Mode Pro, which basically gives you the riding modes additional to Eco, Road and Enduro. It will also include Dynamic Pro, where you can actually configure it and do specifically one by one on your settings. Enduro Pro. And again, Enduro Pro, you can configure it to whatever you like. The Dynamic Package also includes the sports brakes. I would definitely recommend getting those. It comes with the Brembo brakes. They're a little bit lighter as well. And you can clearly see them because it will have the BMW in red in the calipers. So that's everything included on the Dynamic Package. The Dynamic Package will cost you a hefty 1,930 euros, but I will definitely recommend it, right? With everything that is included, I think it's one of those options that if you buy a GS, you have to have the Dynamic Package. You can also get the Innovation Package. This is obviously focused on technology. So that will include the riding assistant for the radar, active cruise control or ACC, obstacle warning for the front. On models 2026 and onwards, I think they are going to include the rear collision warning, which this bike doesn't have. So going forward, I think they're going to include that. And you also have the lane change assist with the mirrors and the warnings there. The other option is the Headlight Pro. As I discussed before, it will include the cornering lights and it has more LEDs included. So the light is supposed to be a little bit better. For what I've been reading, I don't think there's a lot of difference. And if you have the fog lights or the auxiliary lights, that cornering lighting, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I do have the Headlight Pro, and in the corners I haven't noticed the additional light coming up, but again I do have the auxiliary LED lights, so that will create that same effect, right, having more lights side to side on the roads. Then you have your touring package for 850 euros, which basically includes your rack for your panniers and top box. You get the electronic central locking for all 3 panniers and top box. You also get the hand protection extension, which is the white part here. You do get the chrome exhaust. Finally, you get the preparation for GPS. It's a pretty cool device. It will let you lock either your GPS, phone mount, etc. There's a bunch of accessories available for it, but also there's a few aftermarket options that are way cheaper. This one is pretty handy. Also, if you get either the Torad Ride Connect or the official GPS, you will get to control them with the Wonder Wheel. It's pretty accessible and pretty easy to use. Another option is the Enduro Package Pro for 720 euros. You will get the handlebar risers, which I removed because I'm short. You get the engine protection, which that again by itself is way more expensive than the whole package. I think the bars are about 1,000 euros by itself. You also get the upgraded belly pan here, which again is another, I think 300 or 400 euros. You also get the short enduro levers, which are much shorter. The standard ones will come up to here. It's basically a 2-finger operation. They're all adjustable, both clutch and brake. Turn signal stalks moved to the front instead of the handguards, like I mentioned before on the standard package. You also get the adjustable footrests for both sides and the brake, which you can put it there to do off-road. You can also get the Pillion package separately, which includes the comfort seat for the Pillion. It includes the rear foot pegs and the luggage carrier with the handles, so the Pillion can grab from those. And again, this is only valid if you get the GS trophy or one of the basic colors, because it comes included already by default as standard on the triple black and the 719 option. Those are all the available packages for the GS as of today, September 2025. And of course, you can get all those options, accessories separately. There are some that when you want to add them to your configurator or to the option, it will include them directly on a package, so you don't have the option. I can't remember exactly what it is, and if I find them, I'll add it on the description here. But there's also some additional options that you can configure on top of your packages. So let's have a look at some of those features and what they actually offer. The dual silencer Akra option. It looks beautiful, let me tell you. The build quality typical of this brand is fantastic, but sound is unfortunately not there. It's a shame because the design is really good. The fit and finish is perfect, but for 1,000 euros, I will probably go aftermarket and even save a little bit of money. There's a lot of companies, right? Leo Vinci, SC Project, Termogini, there's a lot of other brands. It depends on the sound. If you like a bike to be quiet and everything, this is perfect. If you're looking for sound, I think the standard can will get you exactly the same sound as this one. My recommendation, don't spend the money on that. One option that you should definitely consider for your GS is the adapted high control. It costs about 630 euros for it. And what it does is it will lower the bike whenever you are slowing down or coming to a stop. Right now you can see the bike on the lower mode, and once you get riding, I think it's above 50 kilometers an hour, the bike will raise up to the standard ride height. On previous bikes, you had the option to either put the suspension on low mode, like on my previous 1200GS, or other bikes will actually sell you the lower chassis, right? So you always low to the ground. On my 1200, when you put it on low and you keep the bike on low, when you start riding, the ride is not the same. The suspension geometry and everything, it changes completely, and you don't get the same feeling, right, on the bike riding on low mode. Same for the lower chassis. The wifey had a Tiger 800, which I lowered. It worked okay, but it's still not the same feeling, right? And you definitely feel like the bike is not performing at its best. So with the adapted ride height, I think you get the best of the both worlds. And even if you're a taller guy, right? Or gal, you don't need to be low all the time. You reach the floor, no problem at all. But still, the bike is much easier to manage around, right? When it's lower and is more accessible. So I will definitely recommend it. And for 630 euros, when you're spending this kind of money, definitely worth it. Something that I can do to show you how the suspension works is another function that it adds to the adapted ride height, which is the function on the center stand, right? So because it's on the low mode, if you try to lift it up on the center stand, it will be pretty difficult. And that again is something that I've seen on bikes with lower chassis. Thank you. Where the bike is being lower, you cannot have the leverage to put it on the center stand. Then you have to start doing things like putting the back wheel on a block of wood or something like that. So in this case, I'll show you how their adaptive ride height works with the center stand. So you basically pick up the bike and you push the center stand down, and you can see how the back raises. Now the front, and there you go. And you can put it on the center stand. Even for a 60 kilo guy, right, 1.7 meter tall, it's easier enough to lift this monster. Let's talk about wheels. So if you buy any of the standard bikes, so any of the three colors that I mentioned at the beginning, the red, the white, and the green, you will get the cast wheels, right? So those are the basics. If you want to upgrade to the cross spoke wheels, either black or gold, that will cost you around 550 euros. These are included in some of the packages, right? It comes standard with the Style GS trophy, but you can also upgrade to the Forge Enduro wheels. Those are, in theory, rated for off-road. They're quite nice looking, but it will cost you 1,080 euros for it. 470 euros will get you the additional and official BMW lights. Obviously, this will connect with the bike on the canvas, and you can control them through the screen or have them come automatically on. They're really good, but for 470 euros, I don't know, that's up to you. Top case and Vario panniers. They're called Vario because obviously they adjust in size. You can make them bigger or smaller. I think it's a pretty good case. At least this top case, I actually enjoy the fact that it has the central locking, it has a USB inside. There you go, the lights and the USB, which I think they are nice upgrades. The opening is a little bit smaller or different from what it used to be, and this is the one that you crank on the lever, top box will raise up and give you more space. You can fit a full face helmet, no problem at all. Now it does cost, the top box or top case, it's 783 euros, and the Vario panniers, which I don't have, are about 1,200 bucks or almost 1,300 bucks. For 300 euros, you can add the alarm, which sits there underneath the seat, and obviously you can control it with the remote. The 1300GS also comes with the activation and auto locking, so when you lock the bike, it will also do the central locking, lock everything, and auto activate the alarm. If you can see it there, that is the lithium-ion battery. It will cost you an additional 220 euros. The benefits of it is 3 kilos lighter on a 240 kilos motorcycle. I don't think it makes any sense. It came included on this bike, like I mentioned before. I bought it secondhand. They don't do well in the cold. You have to keep them charged. To me, it's a nightmare. Not too many benefits. I will not recommend getting the lithium battery. If you made it this far on this video, you're either a very good friend of mine, member of my family, or you actually love geeking out with all the details and you're very interested on getting the best bang for your buck when buying one of these bikes, right? Hopefully after this, you are prepared and you have a better understanding on which options to select and which things to avoid, right? To save you a couple of thousands, because the options can go up in value very quickly with this type of bike. Again, really appreciate it, sticking through the whole video. Let me know if you have any comments, any questions, if you have any suggestions for further videos, and I'll do my best. So thank you very much again, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.